Hello Degens. 1.1 is shaping up to be a pretty freaking massive update. And there are so many things going on. We've got like 2 new whole game modes that are permanent. We've got a whole bunch of different quality of life things, like the mail button is being moved out over here. And so today I wanted to talk about what I think are the biggest changes in this update, the ones that I think that you should know the most. Because there is a lot of it is actually not obvious, like some of the stuff is hidden within the settings. So that being said, let's get into the video. What I really want to talk about is the obscene amount of new content that has been released with this patch. So I'm going to show you over here. So I've just clicked into chapter 3. I'm going to go into combat commission and you can see boom, boom, boom. That's 3 right there. And then over in chapter 2, you can see there are a bunch of new quests that have been added, a whole bunch in combat commission. Boom, boom, boom. And then on top of that, of course, if we come over to video archive, we have the new Qingyi quests. So this one over here. And these ones do give a crap load of EXP as well. And finally, of course, we have the story missions in which we go and talk to Wise to kind of continue that one. Now, I know that all of this kind of seems like really obvious, right? However, I really needed to point this out because most of us are actually still in like kind of the mid, almost end game. And the reason why this is so important is because a lot of us are going to be hitting breakpoints like level 30, level 35, level 40, level 45. And as you can see for me, I'm about to hit level 50. And so to hit level 50, I need about 10k more EXP. And the reason why all of these quests, what I just talked about, were so important is because every single EXP that you can get without spending stamina makes every single point of stamina later value more. Because if I come back to the menu over here, you see I have 200 stamina. If I actually was able to fill this whole bar up with 10k EXP, I would be able to use this 200 stamina on a higher level of quests. I'm talking about farming more materials. I'm talking about farming better discs. I'm talking higher drop rates in our disc farming because we've hit the next threshold. I'm talking golden discs from our weekly bosses because again, we're hitting the next thresholds over here. But my guys, the biggest source of EXP that you are going to overlook is the Holo Zero one. So coming into Holo Zero, I'm going to click into this one and this is our license level for Holo Zero. What you can see is that at every 5 levels, we get 600 EXP. And that is a massive amount, right? But when you've gotten up to like level 49, which is kind of like where I am, you're probably like, oh, I've finished like most of those points and stuff. Hold on. There was a new Holo Zero update, this thrown over here. If you click into this one here, you will see that in these 2 bottom categories, there is a lot of investigation EXP. Boom, 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 boom. So yeah, hopefully that will be like the first and the last time I'll have to talk about like pushing EXP without using stamina. But otherwise, let's get into a couple of the other changes. And so the next thing I want to talk about is the fact that everything feels faster. I'm talking like navigating UIs and stuff, like clicking through menus. But most importantly, I would say I believe that the TV mode is actually faster. All right, and so there is a little bit of interruptions, but I'm just moving around and everything is ultra fast. Like Fairy is ultra fast, click, 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 click. And it just feels like a lot smoother. It feels like they've actually removed a lot of the interruptions. And all in all, it does feel like there have been some improvements made to the TV mode. All right, and so the next change I wanted to talk about is actually in the equipment slot. If I click into any one of these, on the bottom left-hand corner, what you're going to see is 2 new buttons, recommend and compare. And if you already play other Hoyo games, you should recognize what these do. I'm going to click the recommend button. And so what it's saying is that for my Soldier 11, it recommends these sets as well as this main stat. Now, slot 1 doesn't really have any variations, so I'll click slot 6, recommend, and you can see this is what people are using generally. And so obviously, if you need any inspiration, just click on that recommend button and this will pop up. What I will say is that this is a fantastic first step. It's not always like the be all end all, right? So for example, this one over here, if I had like 2 pieces of Puffer Electro that were giga cracked in substats, I would take those 2 over like crappy substats with Woodpecker Electro. But regardless, it's really awesome to see what people are running for their sets. And so the next one is this compare button down here. Now, I need to go to a character with actual discs. And so here I have selected my impact disc on my collator. I'm going to click compare, and what it's going to do is it's going to put that impact disc over here, and I can move this one around to see how these different discs compare against the one that I have equipped. So if I'm considering Ambi's one over here, I'm looking at them both and I'm like, oh damn, wow, wait, Ambi's one is actually it's actually kind of cracked. So yeah, hopefully you guys can see the utility of that compare button. All right, and so next I am going to hop into the options and click into this other button, and at the bottom you're going to see a couple of new new features. The first one is quick use of Bangboo plugins on the board. And so let me show you what exactly that means. And so for those of you who didn't know, let me just move my camera out a little bit, and so you can see this symbol over here. This is actually the Bangboo plugins. And so traditionally, to kind of like quick use the items, you had to like hold down the icon and then boom, as you can see. Well, let me move out of the way a little bit, and so you can see the bomb is going to explode. But if I tap it, it opens the menu, right? So let me tap that again, it opens the menu. And then hold, and then it lays down a bomb, I run away, whatever. Now, what is really cool is that in the options, back over in the other section, this one over here, I have changed it to press. So keep in mind that this is not by default. By default, it is still on hold. And changing this option to press means that I can now just press and leave a bomb, right? And then it means I can hold to open up this inventory. I personally think that this is way more intuitive, although I do understand why they designed it in the way that they did before, because you might accidentally press the R button and then it will accidentally set off a bomb. All right, and so coming back to the options, number 2, we've got remember board acceleration status. This is also disabled by default, so you do have to come in and make sure these are on. And so I've got it enabled over here, and what this means is essentially I am in acceleration mode right now. I am running at like double speed or whatever it is. And so if I actually give up and go back into the commission, so I'm loading, and then I am in the exact same commission, what you will notice is that when I get out of this fairy dialogue, that double speed is actually enabled by default. So it remembers in the commission, or probably your Holo Zero as well, if you had 2 times it before, you're gonna always be in 2 times. Now, this is gonna speed up the TV mode. I think for a lot of people, it's just gonna make it feel like it is a lot faster. And this change, I know a lot of people have been looking for. And so if I come back over to the options, there is one last thing that is new here. Chain attack mode. We can set it to auto mode, or we can set it to manual mode. Now, there are actually a lot of different places in which you can set this. I've just left it on auto mode because I'm pretty used to it by now. The settings is the first place, and the second place to configure it is actually when you go into any commission, Holo Zero, whatever, and down here you can see manual chain attacks off. So mine's off because I want it on auto. And to be honest, I would recommend y'all actually leave it on auto. Here is why. Because what they've added is that when chain attacks happen, there is now a button to cancel the chain attack. So I'm about to go put this guy into chain attack mode, and then what you'll see is that I can press the middle mouse button to cancel it. So let's go in, boom, boom. And so you can see over here, middle mouse button to cancel chain attack. So let's actually get back into it. Boom. So I'm going to press middle button and I am successfully canceled out. That being said though, it's because I'm kind of used to it by now that I'm happy to just leave it at auto mode. But if you do want to have like a little bit more control over your combat, then give manual mode a shot. All right. And so the next thing I want to talk about is the 2 main game mode updates. We have a new mode in Shiyu Defence, as you can see, Disputed Node, as well as the Holo Zero, and I think it's called Throne. Yeah, Throne Inferno Reap. And so what I want to start off with is that both of these are permanent modes. There is no need to kind of rush them, especially for your Shiyu Defence. I know a lot of people looking at this and look, oh, time until end of operation. We only got 1 day left. If I click over to stable mode, if I click over to disputed mode, there is nothing up here. It is permanent. Don't rush it. Don't over invest into like some random shit. Stick to your plans, my guys. 2 good invested teams, just do that. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling like extremely brokey right now. And just to comment on the disputed node, this one looks really interesting because it's not actually time limited, but your final rank is determined by how many times you died. And so this is really interesting because it essentially is telling us that it's time to learn how to play properly. And so speaking of Shiyu Defence, there has been a few changes in here that I really like. So I'm going to come over to the critical node, click into number 7. And what you can see is that there is now a enemy resistance pane. I think what a lot of people didn't realize was that you could actually click into these guys over here and it would show you the resistance of each of the monsters on the bottom here. However, it does sound like not enough people were clicking into it. And so people were asking like, oh, what are these gray numbers? What do they mean? And so just in terms of like noob friendliness, I really do like this change over here. Don't bring your physical teams into part 2 of Shiyu 7. And so the next thing that's also a minor change, but I really like, is this one up here. This operation is expected to have 2 waves of enemy attacks. This is ultra important because it kind of lets you know like how fast you're going. So for example, there are a whole bunch of trash mobs in wave 1 and then there is like a giga juicer boss in wave 2. So if we're trying to get an S, maybe you're saying like, okay, well maybe 20 seconds tops for like wave 1 and then like 1 minute and 10 for wave 2, the big boss. But that said, that's pretty much it for the Shiyu Defence, mainly just readability. Hollow Zero though has a really awesome update in regards to the farming. So first of all, these weeklies down here in Bounty Commission, these will be significantly easier to clear in that it'll go from like 5 down to like 2 and you get all of the rewards, something like that. And I know it doesn't say so over here, just expect it from next week onwards. This is really awesome because it means that we don't have to spend as much time grinding out Hollow Zero. But the second even more better thing is, let me get into one and show you. A few videos back, I think in like the 20 tips for mid game or something, I was talking about how we need to farm these V-Bucks over here to clear out the shop so that we can farm about like 225k Denny's per week. Now, that 225k Denny's, that cap has not changed. However, getting these V-Bucks is a lot easier. I'm going to click into it and you're going to see we actually get 30 and this is for stage 1. And so therefore for stage 2, we get 60 for a total of 90, bringing our total runs for Hollow Zero from 15 down to 10 if you want the full 225k Denny's. Honestly, that's such a massive change because I am admittedly getting a little bit tired of Hollow Zero all the time. And so yeah, awesome quality of life. All right, and so the last thing I wanted to talk about was a little bit more on the cosmetic side. So you can already see my profile, biggest Nicole simp in the game apparently. But what we do have are a bunch of new avatars over here. You get these ones by simply acquiring the character. And then this one over here, these are your name cards. You do have to get the Mindscapes to be able to unlock these ones. So this is the Mindscape 6 for Nicole, and this one is the Mindscape 3. And so yeah, honestly, a really neat change. Although I gotta say, Corin do be kind of cute too. That said though, those are pretty much the major changes that I found in the game for 1.1 so far. Do let us know down in the comments below which one is the biggest one for you. Absolutely for me, it is the Hollow Zero experience. By Hollow Zero, what I really meant was actually the TV mode. Like the TV mode just feels so much faster now. And honestly, although this wasn't a deal breaker for me, it actually just feels incredibly awesome to play. Bonus tip, if you're wondering who pops up on the TV in like this middle rest zone, it's actually the person who does the final hit on the Hollow Zero boss that you did in the stage before. But yeah, let me know which ones are your favorite, or if there are any other major ones that I have missed out, do let us know down in the comments below. But otherwise, this is the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.